If you feel like in your relationship, your partner was prioritizing everybody else, friends, family, work, but deprioritizing you, and you were like the bottom of the list, but they were always busy off doing something else with somebody else, watch this video. Hey, I'm Coach Benny, and I help people get their exes back. And for 5 years, I was a dating coach before I did this. And I had to pay a lot of attention to how to create attraction in other people. And that knowledge of attraction I use to help you get your ex back. So there's a certain archetype of person, usually that's been emotionally neglected in childhood, but this type of person has communication problems. Okay, they never grew up explaining themselves to their parents and having an open dialogue and all this kind of thing. So they have trouble saying no to other people, and so they'll spread themselves really thin between work, family, school, etc. And they're really more of like the people pleaser type. And a lot of times you can see them be the hero of the family. They raise themselves, maybe they help raise the siblings, and it's this type of person. Now, typically speaking, this type of person lives in an unsustainable way. This is not like a happy, thriving lifestyle. This is a coping lifestyle because there's a reason they can't say no. It's because their communication skills aren't developed. And the reason why their communication skills aren't developed is because they were neglected in childhood. And so what tends to happen is that a lot of problems are going to mount up in your relationship that don't get resolved because they never bring it up to you. Okay. And you're not a mind reader, so you don't know. Okay. And then between that and whatever other stress that's going on in their life and the way that they've spread themselves really thin across all their obligations or their relationships. So eventually they have this kind of like shitty watershed moment where it's like, they just feel like they have to cut off their relationships and just sort of self-isolate or start drinking or kind of go into this like depressive episode to try to regain bandwidth. And during this time, they're having really big doubts about themselves. Now, usually leading up to one of these depressive episodes will be them deprioritizing you. They're going to essentially do everything for everybody else, but they won't do it for you on some level because you're in the boat with them, right? So they don't have to kind of give you the customer facing treatment the same way that, you know, they would with friends and family. But a lot of times they don't even realize that they're doing this until you kind of speak up. And if you do it in a way where you're just like hanging on by a thread the whole time, and then finally your frustrations come out, it's like, hey, why do you do everything for everybody else and nothing for me? You're actually triggering them in their core wound, which is feeling broken. That's what happens from neglect in childhood. And then they freak out about how they're not good enough, and it leads ultimately to a breakup because in their minds, they're doing the best they can. Again, this is coping behavior. So the archetype of person that we're talking about here in this video is the dismissive avoidant attachment style. And a lot of times people can get surprised with breakups by these individuals because they're not speaking up for what their concerns are, and then they will break up with you out of the blue because they didn't communicate ahead of time. Now, if this has happened to you, you can definitely get them back. You can definitely work on the relationship together and get them communicating the right way. And if you want my help re-attracting them into the relationship, click into my profile, click this link, set up a call with me, and there's a video about it right here, by the way. And I'd love to hear from you, and we will get you a step-by-step game plan to get your ex back.